Yes, sir. Good evening.
The Dennis Strong appointment is causing a lot of alabaloo. And
Mm-hmm.
I like to listen to people who reason the thing rationally. And I heard Dr. Peter Phillips, former
Mm-hmm.
Minister of Finance,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the danger of Jamaica falling back on the grey list.
Mm-hmm.
What is this grey list? What it is about?
Well, as a matter of education,
Yes.
the Financial Action Task Force was established in 1989 by the group of 7 industrialized nations. That's the most powerful countries in the world. So we talk about US, we talk about Germany, we talk about Japan, those countries. Yeah?
Yes.
The role of the Financial Action Task Force is to make sure that money laundering does not dominate the international financial system, because laundered money, they say, is also used to finance terrorism. I
Yes.
know that those countries are deadly against terrorism. Now, the countries they have two lists. The one is the blacklist, where they say these countries are not taking any steps to counteract money laundering.
Yes.
So on that current list we have right now is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, that is Kim Jong-un, and they have Iran and Myanmar, right?
Yes.
Now, the grey list is the countries that need monitoring. They are taking some steps, but they are not taking enough steps.
Yes.
And on that list now, we have countries such as Algeria, Angola, Bulgaria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Croatia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Kenya, and Laos. Now,
and hold on. And before June last year, we were on that. Jamaica was on that list.
Yes, Nigel Clark. One of the thing that we could commend him for is that Nigel Clark did a whole lot of work in order to get Jamaica off that grey list. When you are on those lists, it makes it difficult for you to export competitively. The banks are under problem in order to maintain their correspondent banking relationships with international banks.
Yes.
And it makes it also difficult for you to mobilize foreign investments. So it is a very serious matter. It's not a political matter as they're trying to make it out to be. It is a serious matter in relation to the Jamaican economy.
We got off the grey list the 28th of June, 2024, just last year.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
So how could Dennis Strong heading the FID put us at risk to getting back on that list?
Because the people see that there's a big weakness, because the FID plays a major role in investigating money laundering and to deal with the counter-financing of terrorism. And if the head of the FID has no expertise in that matter, FID is more a law enforcement agency than an accounting agency. So you don't just need an accountant. You need an accountant because you have to check money. But you need somebody who knows about law enforcement and knows about money laundering and all of that. It's more law enforcement work than an accounting work.
So we spent nearly 4 years on the grey list, because this says in February 2020, Jamaica was placed on the grey list of FATF. Placement on FATF grey list signals to international financial and other institutions to take special care when
deal with a country like that.
When transacting with entities and individuals from a FATF grey list country. This makes transaction with FATF grey list country more expensive.
Yeah, man. It affects the overall economy. Everything that they are going to do becomes more expensive.
So the role that FID plays is what kind of role?
The FID is the core of ensuring that we come off those lists, because the FID is the agency that investigates financial crimes and money laundering and the counter-financing of terrorism. All financial institutions have to have a designated officer who reports those things to the chief technical director. So the chief technical director of the FID is not a joke position. He's a key man.
So he's the man that Bahamas, Cayman Islands, USA would communicate with in terms of very sensitive information.
Well, certainly, as well as the officers in local banks who deal with that thing. If they have any problem, that is the man that they have to report it to.
So you're talking about our regular BNS and NCB and Sagicor would have to give that man information.
Correct.
So if we get back on this grey list, what effect would that have on our economy?
That's what I remember. We are already operating in a turbulent international environment characterized by tariffs, characterized by uncertainty, characterized by the massive U.S. budget deficit and the increase in the U.S. debt and the downgrading of the U.S. So all of those things will complicate Jamaica's problem, make it more difficult to export, make it more difficult to mobilize foreign direct investments. And the net effect is to make it more difficult for the economy to grow, right? So what we're doing is personalizing the thing now and putting people's personal fortunes above the fortunes of the economy.
So tell us...
Because with all the respect in the world, Dennis Strong has no competence in those areas.
We heard Howard Mitchell in that interview with Simon Croskill today saying that he disagreed with Dennis Strong when Dennis said that the 28 account is no problem. And what Howard Mitchell said that those multiple accounts is the first red flag of money laundering.
Of course. One would have to be very obtuse not to see a problem with that. That's a big red flag, of course.
No.
Howard is right.
No, Ralston, what do we do from here?
We'll have to continue to keep up the fight and keep up the pressure. That must not stand. It must not stand. It's bad for the country. It's bad for the future of our country. It must not stand.
Why do you think Dennis is doubling down? He turned up for work Monday morning amidst all the noise and all the dissenting voice.
Well, boy, I don't know. Because all he's doing is damaging himself. Because based on the controversy that it is causing, it is difficult to see, and given a particular timing, it is difficult to see how, if there's a change in the government, he could retain that position. And it's difficult to see, given the public angst, how he could maintain a semblance of integrity in the Jamaican economy again. So he's damaging himself.
I heard a shocking, I have a shocking message. I have a shocking clip to play. Because I don't, listen to this, Ralston. Hold on.
This instant case of Mr. Chung's appointment, the timing at this moment is problematic, especially given the fact that the comments Mr. Chung made in interviews could be, which is the allegation, interpreted that he's biased.
That was Cliff Hughes saying that the timing of Dennis Strong taking up this appointment could be problematic.
He's spot on, as well as the comments that he made. He's spot on.
Yes.
He's spot on, because those comments are erroneous comments, which shows clear bias, because those comments don't make any sense, as Howard Mitchell said.
Tell me something, Ralston. The Services Commission, could they put in a head of FID that the Prime Minister does not agree with?
No.
Could they put in a commissioner of police that the Prime Minister does not agree with?
No, not based on how this Prime Minister operates, no.
Let me turn the questions around. Could they turn down a commissioner of police that the Prime Minister says, I want this man to be my commissioner?
Not the way this Prime Minister operates, no.
So if the Prime Minister said to the Service Commission, here is Dennis Strong's application, this is the man I want to head the FID, is it a finished job?
Yeah, man.
Could the Service Commission said no?
No.
Or unless they're going to resign?
Yeah, precisely. And then again, now, for those who believe that you're politicizing the issue or what you're doing is speculating, the Prime Minister demonstrated that when he inserted himself on Sunday night and told the people, labor rights from all walks, must go out and demonstrate. Yes. He demonstrated his lack of independence and impartiality in the issue. So he clearly inserted himself in there to demonstrate that he wants Dennis Strong to be there.
So he's saying to labor rights, go out and
demonstrate against the boy that demonstrate, because our boy that. Simple.
But
that was a very silly and unfortunate.
Wasn't that dangerous, though, Ralston, the fact that
of course,
the Prime Minister...
It's dangerous, it is silly, it is unfortunate, and it is telling the country that the Prime Minister sees himself as bigger than the country. And as you said before, he inserted himself in there to make it personal, that this is about me and them.
But when you asked, the GLP had a press conference, and they were trying to answer all the questions, and when they were asked, why did the Services Commission, or why was the requirements for 12 years in law enforcement and 5 years in a senior position change, they send back people to the Services Commission. If they can't answer that question, shouldn't they just leave the entire thing to the Services Commission?
Of course. And I am saying by international definition, by the establishment in 1989, the whole thing about financial crimes is more a law enforcement issue than just an accounting issue.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So anybody can go and read about the Financial Action Task Force and see what they're talking about. Terrorism, there is some knows nothing about terrorism financing. They have to be a law enforcement official.
I heard one of the surrogates mention that there were 3 people before that had no investigative experience, and they were there. What do you say to that? Robin Sykes was one, and when I did some research on Robin Sykes had a great experience in investigating financial fraud.
Financial crimes, yeah man. Not just a rhetoric. No.
But for the last 3 persons who had the FID, they had the requisite investigative experience in law enforcement.
Yeah, man, Selvine and all of those people, because that is what the post requires. It clears to tell you the Financial Action Task Force is about investigating financial crimes and money laundering. So people have to have that kind of background if you are going to be successful.
But why is the Prime Minister missing that?
Colin, you know why the Prime Minister is missing that? Why did the Prime Minister go on the platform and say everybody must demonstrate against those who are demonstrating against them? If it was only a Services Commission thing, then the Prime Minister never needed to insert himself in it. The Prime Minister made it personal.
Yes.
Yep, that's clear. Very silly.
Ralston, just give us a quick roundup on where Jamaica economy is at now. Anything from starting yet as it relates to the first quarter?
No, but as somebody who watches these things on a daily basis, almost every firm in Jamaica is reporting significantly lower profits than the previous year. Almost every single one. I
have been watching that since Omar Azan said, and here how many companies are losing and getting less profit.
Every single one. Even the great JMB from the chairman of EPOC, $8 billion less. We just saw Victoria Mutual less. Everybody less. Fast Rich less. Everybody less. So that is telling you what is happening, as Omar Azan said. Aggregate demand is weak for companies not making enough revenues and not making enough profits. That tells you that the economy is in a recession.
Yep. Did the PIOJ lie to us?
Yeah, man.
I am joining you on that. Yes, the PIOJ told us a lie. A big lie.
Has very little credibility. Yep.
But why so? Why would a man like Dr. Wayne Henry put his reputation out like that?
Well, you'd have to ask him, but I am telling you, based on what is happening in the economy, the pronouncements lack credibility. The economy is in a recession.
You are saying that the economy is still in a recession?
Yeah, man.
So you don't believe the 0.8% growth either?
Well, 0.8 even no, because we have to wait until starting, because Planning Institute doesn't measure anything. Planning Institute is not the National Data Collections Agency. The Planning Institute all is planning, supposed to do the studies as to the impact of bauxite and alumina mining on the economy and those things.
Yeah.
Starting is the agency under the 1984 Statistics Amendment Act that goes out and measures GDP, measures the trade deficit, inflation, and all of those things. It's starting role. So what we see is Planning Institute is front running starting. Yeah. So even if we had 0.8, that will be moving from recession to stagnation. So we have to wait until starting come and give us the official measure. But almost every company in Jamaica is either making losses or making less profits than before. And we're talking about prestigious companies, Secron, JMB, Victoria Mutual Investment, Fossage Company. Yeah.
We heard Richard Pandu is saying that the tariff is doing worse to them than what COVID-19 did.
Yeah, true. Yeah, man.
Where's the dollar today?
That's a good question. We don't get today yet, but yesterday it was 160.33. Despite every central bank intervention, the central bank mopped up another 37 billion today. So we're looking to see what will be the impact. But the dollar has been consistently traded below 160 since last week, despite every central bank intervention.
That spells problem, isn't it?
Yeah, man, of course.
Oh.
So the economy is in bad shape. So we shouldn't be wasting time with this FID gate business. What we should be doing is coming up with measures. The Minister of Finance is supposed to be coming up with measures to fix the economy rather than telling us nonsense about Dennis Strong is competent enough to be the technical director of the FID. What we need to hear from her is what you're going to do about energy. What is it that you're going to do about agriculture? What is it that you're going to be doing about tourism and the creative industry and manufacturing? What is it that you're going to do about training labor force so that they can produce value-added products and earn more foreign exchange? What is it that you're going to do about trade diversification instead of nonsense that she's talking?
Every day we are seeing...
Country don't need this distraction at this time. The world is too vulnerable for us to be caught up in this foolishness.
Every day we are seeing
just for political purposes.
Every day we are seeing that giving away that $11.4 billion was a bad move. Bad move. Somebody in the chat room before you go, Ralston, is saying that Sagicor took back...